Well, welcome, friends, to Arts Commission Happy Hour here with San Jose Arts Advocates. This is going to be a pretty informal conversation, but given that we have coming up very soon the appointment process for new arts commissioners, new commissioners in general, with a deadline, it looks like, of this Sunday, the April the 3rd, for the first round, at least, of applications. We wanted to take an opportunity to speak with some current and former commissioners, including myself, and chat about what the experience is like, what the application process was like when you first applied, what you thought about the commission before you joined, and what your experiences are now and how you would reflect on it. And then hopefully give some motivation to folks out there in the community and in our creative community to get more engaged and to think about how they can serve the city and our arts community through the Arts Commission or through other ways. So I'm going to, if you don't mind, share my screen here for a second and bring up a PowerPoint, and we can get started. And they'll make it nice and friendly here. Can you all see my Google screen for right now?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Here we go. Loading. There we go. All right. So our agenda tonight, I'm going to go through some announcements because I figured, hey, we're broadcasting live. We might as well let people know about some things going on in the arts and creative community. So that'll be really quick. I'll run through a few slides there. We'll do some introductions of the folks who are here. We can do a little round robin. We'll have a conversation, which will take up probably the most of our hour that we'll be here tonight. And then any reflections after our conversation, any takeaways. Got another friend coming into the room. And then we can talk about next steps and how you can, of course, engage with San Jose Arts Advocates, because part of our mission is not just educating you about ways that you can get engaged with city life and civic life, but also get engaged with us around our advocacy and around the work that we do to uplift arts and culture and the creative community here in San Jose and beyond. So this is our brief agenda, and I'm going to run through, if it's all right with everyone, a couple quick announcements. So real quickly, we were excited to host a really fun interactive Zoom with City Budget Manager Jim Shannon that Brandon Rawson, and Amanda Rawson, a couple of our core team members, helped to moderate. It was basically a 101 style presentation on the city budget process, and then a look ahead to the upcoming budget process and the advocacy that we're going to be doing and focusing on over the next few months. So please, we've got it posted as we will post this meeting here, or this workshop. It's posted on our YouTube page, so just search San Jose Arts Advocates on YouTube. You should be able to find our channel. Please subscribe so that you see all of our videos as they are posted, and check out Dinner and the Budget. And we hope to do more of those type of informational events in the future. Real quick, if you're an artist, and especially someone who's interested in participating in public art projects, the city of San Jose has an open call. They're creating an artist roster for public art projects. So if you were interested in potentially being considered for a public art project in San Jose, we invite you to apply. The deadline is this Wednesday. And we even have a representative here from the Office of Cultural Affairs, one of our co-founders and now emeritus core team member, Ron Moreira. Ron, any quick notes on that open casting call you'd like to share?
Casting call. It's the call for artists is our annual call to add additional artists for our public art roster. So, every couple of years, we refresh the roster with some new artists, and that is they're what they call the pre-qualified artist pool. And so when there are upcoming public art projects, and there are a lot that'll be coming up, public art and Michael Ogilvie and his team look to that roster of artists first to promote any upcoming public art projects. So it's advantageous for folks who are San Jose artists of all mediums to apply for that, because then you'll be included in the roster of pre-qualified artists for the Office of Cultural Affairs public art projects.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ron. And Ron's going to have a couple more notes, I think, in a second here, because I wanted to mention today is April 1st. No fooling. It is April 1st, and I'm hoping, no one thought we were fooling about this event. But that's also the first day of Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month. And every year, this is an opportunity for us as arts advocates to come together with advocates at the state level, with our partners at Californians for the Arts and California Arts Advocates, to do just that, advocate for arts and culture with our elected officials and our legislative leaders in Sacramento. And we also use it as an opportunity locally to engage. So Ron, I don't know if I want to pass it back to you. I've thrown together some basic information here in flyers, but is there anything you want to highlight in 30 seconds to a minute or less?
Yeah, and thank you so much, Peter, and San Jose Arts Advocates for doing this. The launch was today in the city of San Diego with a press conference that was presided by San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria, who is one of our arts champions. And so I think it's very important for all our regions, and especially the Santa Clara Valley region, because we've been pretty active in terms of especially doing Advocacy Week, to be really engaged and participate in this year's Arts, Culture, Creativity Month, especially since, as you all know, the pandemic still has lingering effects. So we have to let our legislators know that artists, creatives, cultural bearers, and cultural makers still need to be invested in. So, we have a lot of webinars that are happening, a lot of activities throughout the state of California. And, all you need to do is go to our website, Californians, for the arts.org. And, the big splash page already has Arts, Culture, Creativity Month. You just have to click on that and take it. It'll take you to the webpage with so much information that your head will blow up.
Right. You can sign up for all these webinars, these weekly webinars we have going on. There's an Advocacy Week. And they are looking, I'll click ahead. They're looking for, sending delegations. We're actually trying to recruit some captains at the local level who would like to captain our advocacy that week. So if you are interested, if you see this out there, either tonight or after the fact, or if you're on the Zoom right now, or if you're on our core team and you're interested in becoming a captain for Californians for the Arts and California Arts Advocates, please let me know, or and you can always, if you have Ron's email, please ping Ron. Ron is a fabulous representative for both organizations. And I believe you're still on the board, correct? You're still.
Yes, I'm the board president of Californians for the Arts. So not only am I on the board, I'm leadership.
Shoot, I didn't mean to demote you there.
No worries. That just tells you how hard I'm working. People don't even realize I'm in the top executive leadership. But no, I think one of the things also that I just learned, there's also submissions for artwork by artists for our ACCM gallery. So we've actually extended it, because the original deadline was March 31st. We've extended it throughout April. So if you've got art that you'd like to see highlighted, please, go to the website of Californians for the Arts, and you will have the opportunity to apply and submit, artwork that reflects your medium and reflects, whatever area you're in, to celebrate Arts, Culture, Creativity Month.
And the theme for this year is arts work, right? So it's about
the arts work,
working artists, the economy, building the economy. So fantastic. That's great.
And that's why there's a different theme that you saw: the arts work to engage, youth, the arts work to build community. So there are about 5 or 6 different themes that artists can choose from to focus on their art piece on.
I like it. Well, thank you very much, Ron. And one thing I wanted to push out, it's not starting until June, it looks like, but Wonky Wednesday. It sounds like a really fun, it's going to be a weekly podcast. Sounds like about arts policy. So tune in for that. That'll be really fun, I think.
For all those policy wonks who love to just talk about.
Yeah, I think like the 10 or 12 of us, and then but no, that'll be great fun. And artists tune in. Like this is a great way, I think, for you to, because I think one thing I love about CFTA and CAA is that I think you bring it down to a level that normal folks can understand, right? This highfalutin bureaucratic legalese, right? You break it down in ways that we can all understand, and we can get together around really common and easy principles to understand. So kudos to you. Thank you. Real quick shout out to Vote Arts and Minds. There's an initiative that's circulating right now to put an initiative on the ballot in November. A petition that's circulating, sorry, that would increase funding to arts and for arts and music education in our K through 12 schools. So please check out this website, voteartsandminds.org, to sign the petition. But I mean, first learn more, obviously, about the initiative. And if you'd like to sign it, please do sign, and encourage your organizations to get on board and sign on board, sign on to it. SJAA has not endorsed this formally yet, but we're certainly big supporters of arts education, and we will be considering how we can best support things. SJAA does not formally endorse at this point, political campaigns, or certainly not candidates, but in the future we might engage in that kind of thing. But for now, please check out the website and determine for yourself if you would like to support. And Create California, one of our other partners, as it were, or just friends out there in the arts advocacy community. They focus on arts education. They're a merger of a variety of arts education supporting organizations. They are looking again to recruit leaders, Arts Now leaders in the community, to promote arts education. And they're looking to recruit leaders across the state. So if you're interested, please sign up. You can go to this website here, createca.org, and learn more. And let's see here, a couple upcoming events. Let's see if I went too far, sorry. A couple other opportunities. The SJ Filmmakers Collective is looking for spring screening submissions, so please. This is all in our newsletter, by the way, so if you get our newsletter, you'll find all of there. SV Creates is offering funds from ARPA funds from NEA. They are administering a grant fund for arts organizations, so please check that out if you are interested. And the California Arts Council is looking on a rolling basis for grant review panelists. I know Ron, myself, and many others have served as grant panelists before in a variety of spaces, so it's a great way to learn more about arts funding, to learn more about what's going on around the state, frankly, with the arts and arts organizations, and also earn a little bit of money. Here we go. So upcoming events, next Wednesday, big arts town hall and community conference at the School of Arts and Culture in person, hosted by SV Creates. So please check that out if you have the time. It's all morning. A couple other opportunities. Eastside Dreams, the San Jose Public Library is looking for art, I think primarily from youth, but I think it's open to anyone, I think 13 and up, I want to say. So go to their website, the library website, to find out more. They're going to feature, it's basically to highlight Eastside history, culture, and themes. So if you're interested and you'd like to submit something, please do that by April 8th, which is next Friday. You can go to the library website to find out more, and your art might be featured on the library card. How cool would that be? And then our friends at the School of Visual Philosophy have they do second Saturdays on the Alameda. It's coming up on April 9th. And prior to the festivities kicking off, our good friend and co-creator, core team member, Dana Harris-Seeger, who is an SJ Arts or San Jose Arts Ambassador this year. Her creative project is the Dialects of Art Creative Conversations, exploring different aspects of why and how and where and what we make as artists. And Barbara Goldstein, a renowned public art maven, as it were, former director of the public art department at City of San Jose, is going to be the special guest for her conversation on April 9th. So please tune in for that. And then, sorry, moving forward, I think. And then, of course, tonight is South First Fridays, which happens every first Friday of the month in the evening. So please check it out. It's in and around the SOPA district. I don't know how I spelled that with a big old capital I, but whatever. Go check it out. Exhibits all up and down at all the galleries. You can walk in and out pretty much all night. It's free, and all ages are welcome. So please, after you're done having a drink with us tonight, go check that out. Without further ado, I think, yes. Okay, hold on. Wait, there
Peter,
we go.
could I make one real quick announcement, because it just happened recently, and that was the appointment by Governor Newsom of the new director of California Arts Council, Jonathan Mosconi. And Jonathan is a very good friend of the arts community, former board member of Californians for the Arts, California Arts Advocates, and was one of the chief creative officer, or was now, of Yerba Buena Center for the Arts in San Francisco. He's also the son of former San Francisco Mayor George Mosconi. So we're really excited in the field, CFTA and CAA, because we have one of our own who really understands the needs of artists, creatives, cultural makers, and he will be taking his new position in April. So just want to share that. And Californians for the Arts, we had put that out in our recent e-newsletter because it was very, very hot off the press.
Thank you very much, Ron. And that's great to hear. It's good that, I think that we're seeing some change and some momentum forward at CAC. So, and thank you for all your advocacy in that regard. All right, well, without further ado, let's hop into a conversation and a few just brief introductions. I thought the first thing we could do is do a quick roundtable with the Arts Commissioner, current and former Arts Commissioners who are here. And we could each take, I'd say, a couple minutes just to introduce yourself and then talk about, let's start off with a quick one, how you came to learn about the Arts Commission and why you originally applied. I know some of us, like Richard, I know you're a repeat offender. So maybe think back to, maybe you can kick it off and think back to when you first applied for the commission. But first, introduce yourself, your background, and what you're doing now.
Yeah, hi, and Peter, before I even start, thank you guys, the arts advocates, for everything you're doing. It's an incredible splash and such a help for not only the Arts Commission, but the arts community within our city. My background is what was all in municipal government. I started off as a set and lighting designer, ended up working with the city of Palo Alto, ended up there as director of community services, and had a great career, 30-year career there. When I left, I had also been a board member of San Jose Jazz for 15 years. And Rick Holden, who was an arts commissioner, in fact, chair of the Arts Commission, talked me into, he said, you know what, you'd love it, just try it out. And so I did. I applied. The application was piece of cake. You just fill it out, see where it goes. And we're talking 9 years later, I'm about to be ushered out. So I loved being an arts commissioner.
Excellent, thank you, sir. And I realize that, or what do you? I should ask actually, what are you drinking during our happy hour this evening?
I've got a little Chardonnay going.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I actually kind of pulled rank there. I should have gone to our illustrious Arts Commission chair is with us tonight, Smita Garg. Dr. Garg, would you like to say hello and tell us what you're drinking, if you anything, and if and it could be non-alcoholic, it's totally fine.
Yep, I have water.
Beautiful, beautiful. I have that too. I've got my SJAA mug. So
yeah, I would like to also thank you guys for infusing life into advocacy, arts advocacy in our city. So really appreciate all that you're doing. My background is actually arts education. I have a BFA in applied arts, which I got in New Delhi, India, and then I moved here to the US. And I've lived here longer than I've lived in India now. And then I got a doctorate in arts education from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and moved to California to find California schools had no art. And it became really hard to find a job in my field. So I started to volunteer as an art teacher at my kids' school. I did that for 12 years. And while there, I met an amazing woman. Her name is Susan Marsland. She was a teacher at our school. And she told me all about the Arts Commission. So that's when I first learned about it. And then actually, I hadn't really considered it. I didn't really know. And then Susan passed away, which was really heartbreaking. But a fellow Arts Commissioner, Ramona Snyder, contacted me and she said, oh, there's an opening. You should join in. We need somebody with your background on there. So I said, okay. So that's how I got on the Arts Commission.
You're gonna make me tear up here, but actually I knew Susan as well. I volunteered on her campaign for city council, and her slogan was it was from Star Trek, but let's make it so.
Let's make it so. Yep, I have those blue you know,
Wristband, right?
wristbands,
Yeah.
you know, and I carry them on me. I think all of us who are Susan's fans, we still are so deeply connected to her. She's
Yeah.
definitely working, you know, on me.
Right. 100%. 100%. Beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for those thoughts. And thanks for being here tonight with us. Charlie, do you want to say a few words, introduce yourself, and talk about how you got on the commission?
Well, my background was as a journalist. I spent 43 years in journalism. And the last 30 years of that was at the Mercury News. Do not blame me for what it is today. I've had nothing to do with it. And the last 10 years of my time at the Mercury News was as an entertainment writer and editor. And when I retired, I sort of thought to myself, well, maybe I should actually go and try to affect news as opposed to write about it. So I started working with nonprofit arts and community groups. I'm on the board of City Lights Theater Company, the Happy Hollow Foundation, and the San Jose Downtown Association Foundation, which does the Downtown Doors program. And also did odds and ends with groups like San Jose Jazz. And like Richard, Rick Holden, who is very persuasive, said, you should really talk to Carrie Adams Hafner about the Arts Commission. And I said, okay. And so Carrie and I talked, and when we first talked, there wasn't an opening, but then there was one, and about 7 years ago, I joined the commission. And I will term out in June.
And it's been just a wild ride ever since, right?
Indeed.
Nothing but late nights at hotels and
you know, it's like a rock and roll tour.
Right.
Like going on tour with the Who.
I can see that now with all of us. That'd be great. Kuyaran, which you and I came on the commission. I served from 2012 to 2016, I think. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, that's right. And then you and I came on around the same time. Do you want to speak about your experiences? You stayed on quite a bit longer.
Yeah, my 8-year term ended in 2020, and you know, I had moved here to San Jose in 2006 to become executive director of Vision New America. But my background is in the performing arts. 20 plus years as a multidisciplined artist. I'm a musician, dancer, actor. Yes, Charlie's making the motion. My instrument of choice lately is the accordion. I'm a Pinoy accordionist. So when I moved here, you know, I wanted to find out more about the arts and cultural community, having come from Oakland and San Francisco. And I reconnected with a very close friend of mine who I've known since she was 18 and a Stanford University student, and that's Tamara Alvarado. And you know, I asked her, I said, you know, I'd like to find out more about the arts and cultural community here. As a matter of fact, you know, I'm thinking about getting civically engaged, and I just submitted my application to the, at that time, I believe it was the city's Human Rights Commission. And she said, why are you applying to the Human Rights Commission? Because you're a performing artist. Why aren't you applying to the Arts Commission? I said, because I didn't know there was an opening. So happenstance was that somebody had vacated because they had moved out of San Jose. So I quickly switched my application to reflect my arts, which was much more stronger, my arts background, and submitted my application for the Arts Commission. And, you know, of course, joined up, I believe not just, you know, and Rick Holden also, you know, I got to know, he was chairing at that time, and Ben Miyagi was on the board. Brother Ben provided me, you know, some great Walter. I remember Walter Solner. So there were a lot of like the OGs who were there when I first started, as well as you. Then, you know, got to know Richard and Charlie, later on Smita and the rest of the folks. But my experience on the commission, I think, actually prepared me very well for my current position. You know, as all of you know, I'm now, you know, the Director of Arts Industry Support for Office of Cultural Affairs. So I think the commission not just only helped me find out more about the arts and cultural ecosystem of San Jose, but really understand the processes within city government of how it's very important for artists, creators, and cultural makers to step up and voice and become active in the process. And so, that's how, Peter and I and many others joined forces to create San Jose Arts Advocates, because we felt that we needed to have a collective. So for me, the Arts Commission is one of those experiences that will stay with me forever, because it impacted just my work as an arts advocate. And of course, it actually also helped prepare me for my position now as a statewide arts advocate leader with Californians for the Arts and a board member with California Arts Advocates. So, hey, Arts Commission is a stepping stone, if you wish to continue as an arts advocate or advocacy in general, to go on to other and greater things. So and I'm very thankful for my time on the Arts Commission.
Like in the comic books, right? There's always an origin story for the superheroes, and maybe the Arts Commission. I remember the conversations we had vividly about arts advocacy and how we could get more organized, and how we needed to get more organized locally at the time. And this was at the sort of tail end of the recession as things were coming back, quote unquote, right? But of course, COVID's just thrown us all for a loop lately. So real quick, Ron, are you drinking anything? You got a beverage going on?
Yes, like Richard, I am digging the Chardonnay.
Oh, lovely, lovely. And
Very,
Charlie?
very, very buttery. I can't say the brand because, product placement.
Yeah, of course, we might get sued, or this might get taken down off YouTube later. Who knows? But Charlie, are you drinking anything particular?
I am
Coffee?
Drinking water here.
Hey, that's how you gotta stay hydrated. It's getting hot out there. So
Yeah.
I'm two-fisting it with the water anyway. And I've got just for the record, this is a bourbon and Coke. I haven't had a Coke in a long time, so this is pretty nice. All right. Well, that's actually a pretty good segue, Ron, into what my second question. And if any of my fellow core team members who are here tonight, I'm seeing Edgar, Brendan, Ava, Mike, Mighty Mike, Dana, and our good friend Chris is here tonight. So thank you for joining us. If any of y'all have questions, feel free to raise your hands or just unmute yourself and shout something out. But just a real quick one, and we can start again with Ron and then just go back around. What is something when you first joined the commission, what's something or a preconceived notion you had about, what you might be able to do, or what what impact you might be able to have before you joined? And what was your perspective on that, or how do you look back on that after having served in the commission? How was that, preconception changed, or did it change? Did that evolve as you were on the commission?
Right. Well, for myself, having been a community organizer and activist for a very long time and having done advocacy work in San Francisco, I saw government as being very bureaucratic. And one of the things that I shared, to myself was, when an opportunity arose, I was going to become involved in some sort of citizen advisory body, so that I could find out really what the system was from within. So I spent most of my time in the beginning of the Arts Commission just listening and observing, and being very thoughtful for whenever I spoke and contributed. And during the time I was under, there were a whole bunch of different commissioners and personalities, and I just found that overall, what I saw about all 11 commissioners is the passion and dedication they had to ensuring that the arts and culture and creative community of San Jose was supported and that their voice was heard. Many represented so many different disciplines, and we all represent different districts and one citywide, that it was just very interesting to hear the people's different perspectives. And as I got to know more about, and I think that's due in part to serving on the Arts Commission, about all these other arts and cultural organizations throughout San Jose, I had a much more respect and deep appreciation for these organizations. And I think that's what the Arts Commission does. It helps put you in contact with a lot of these arts and cultural organizations and understand the challenges and achievements that they are able to obtain. But they also will need support, and some of them don't know about the Arts Commission. So I found myself, as I grew more and more familiar with the Arts Commission, go out and educating and just having conversations with people about the Arts Commission. And I think that's one of the important roles of the Arts Commission, is to go out there, is outreach and educate our communities. both the arts, culture, creative community, but overall, because I think we need support from all our residents, right, from all our citizens. And Chair Smedegaard would agree with me on this, because I think, you know, if you love the arts and arts is interwoven in every aspect of our lives, then you're going to support the arts, and that means helping voice the importance of arts at a budget meeting or at City Council, so that the investment can also be made in you know, the work that the Arts Commission and all our organizations contribute to. So.
Thank you. Chair Samita, do you want to add on to that? Sort of what were some of the notion, you know, the concepts you came into the Arts Commission with, and how were those concepts evolved or changed by your experience?
Yeah, I think for me, it was extremely personal to begin with, because here I had been rendered jobless because there were no arts in schools, and my area is arts education. Typically, I would be teaching in, you know, academic institutions, training art teachers to go into schools, public schools, to teach art. And here there were no art teachers in public schools. So it really was trying to see what's going on at government level, just like Ron was saying, that trying to understand how these decisions are made, how the policies are made, and to see if I could in any way affect those policies. Figuring out how much voice do I really have? How much can I express? How much can I say? And then also, definitely a big thing is being a person of color. I met with a lot of resistance. I met with a lot of nays. I applied to a lot of institutes here, and I received a no, despite the fact that I was a top student at University of Illinois. And, you know, so there was a lot going on there, and I really wanted to get involved. I had been a lifelong volunteer, and so that part was not a problem. I was ready to serve. But really, I wanted to understand what's going on, you know, how are these decisions made, and how could I be an agent of change? If there was a possibility that I could affect change, then I wanted to be there. So, you know, being on the commission, of course, things work a little differently once you get on, you know. There's all these rules, and there's all these, you know, things that you have to be mindful of. But at the same time, I feel that now being chair, the first woman chair, I'm not the first woman chair, but the first, you know, woman South Asian chair, and learning to connect with organizations that are organizations of color, learning about racial justice, learning about how to change what is systemic. And, you know, and so like I started to say the land acknowledgement, it had never been done before, but it came from my work, you know, with Anti-Racist San Jose. I'm one of the moderators on that group, which has a following of over 3,000 members. So, you know, just starting to see the intersectionality of where art meets activism. So I'm seeing a change happen, and it's never easy when the change is happening, but it's great to see the wheels moving in the direction that I had hoped they would. So yeah, it's been really, really incredible. And I have to give it to my fellow commissioners. They've all been extremely supportive. They've seen me, you know, falter and everything, you know, and supported me. And that's how we run. We run together as a team.
And where are you at in your terms now? Are you in your I want to say you're in your second term, but I forget.
Yeah, I completed my first term last year, so I still have, like, this is my 4th year. So my first term was 3 years, and then I have 4 more years. This is my 4th year. I have 3 more years left.
4 more years.
Yes.
And then, and if you could, with since you're the chair, with the chairman or the chairwomanship in your case, is that annual? How does that rotate? How does that work? With,
yeah. So, you know, I think it's if you're chair, you can continue to be chair. I think, Richard, you were chair for a while. And so you can, if you step down, you can still go back and become chair later on, as long as you're on the commission. But I feel it's personally, I feel it's a good idea to give others an opportunity. And so, you know, I'm completing my second year and hoping that we'll have a new commissioner, one of the newer commissioners, step up to the responsibility while I take a break from chairmanship.
Well, thank
And,
you.
and question to Peter, they still have the election process, right? You're elected by
Yes.
your peers. Because I
That's
remember
right.
I served as vice chair for the Arts Commission 1 year, and
Yes.
I think,
And
but you can also
and
step
so,
up. You can self-nominate as well.
yeah, actually, it's a really well laid out system. So there's the Arts Commission, and the chair, vice chair are always elected. And then we have our subcommittees like the Public Art Committee, we have the Executive Committee. And so there are several opportunities for all commissioners to be more involved and serve on those committees. So there's a lot of opportunity to learn to be a leader within the commission.
Richard, Smita called you out as Emperor Richard, having served for so many years now. Kidding, of course. But you're probably the longest tenured total of those of us here tonight. Something that you thought you were really going to be able to sink your teeth into when you joined the commission. How did that change? Did that evolve? What was something what was something you really found that you may not have anticipated?
Yeah, I came into the commission knowing full well how government worked, having worked for 30 years, and was in fact the liaison to the Palo Alto's Public Art Commission. So I knew pretty well what I was getting into. And because of that, because I talked to Rick Holden and then Carrie, I had a pretty good idea that coming in, what I wanted to do was be basically a liaison between the commission and staff. I understand fully what staff has to go through. And I got to say, City of San Jose's arts and cultural staff are absolutely top notch. You just can't find a better staff across.
You're not just saying that because Ron's here, right?
I understand Ron's there, but he's brand new, so I'll keep.
I'm kidding.
And so when I came in, I thought, well, that's maybe a function I can serve. But I also came in understanding that San Jose really didn't recognize many of its, what I call the cornerstone of arts people. And when I came in, I thought, you know what, that's maybe something, if I put my mind to it, I can pull together. And I talked to Carrie first and then brought it to the commission, and it was the cornerstone of the arts. How do we recognize the people that should be recognized for all these years and all the years they've put into making, putting San Jose on the map as far as the arts? And so that was one thing I thought I could bring in, and it turned out to be a reality. So that was awesome. Things I mean, there are a lot of areas over the years where, there are disappointments. And one of the big disappointments was, of course, when the ballet ended their life here in San Jose. And so when you count up the losses that happened, which aren't that many, and then all the positive things, 99% of them are positive in the arts. So I think that's what you have to take with you when you're a commissioner, is finding the positive out there, because it's all around you.
That's beautiful words. Love it. Charlie, you and I both came from a journalism background, actually, and that tends to be a pretty skeptical profession. So did you have any skepticism about joining the Arts Commission in the first place? Did they have to twist your arm, or was it something where you were?
It wasn't, because by that time I had been on the boards of a couple of arts nonprofits, and I knew what the Arts Commission, brought to the game. So they didn't have to twist my arm, but I come from journalism, which means I'm a cynic and a wise ass, but, you know, but I've covered city government. I had covered city government enough to know that, okay, you're not going to drive the bus, but you're going to influence where the bus is going. And that's where the work is. And you need to, you know, sort of my goal, and it's very hard given the time I was there and all the issues that came up, was trying to put the arts on the same level as the other issues that were commanding attention of city government. I mean, if you really sit back and think about it, city government, you know, they always say all politics is local. Well, what people really care about from their government is probably being driven by the city. They care about homeless, and they care about potholes, and they care about what the parks look like. And all those are competing for the attention and, more importantly, the money that the city has to offer. And the arts needed to, you know, or at least I wanted to try to raise the arts up to that level, because I felt at the time that I came on, it wasn't really at that level. It was sort of like, oh, the arts, that's nice, you know. You know, I don't think we completely succeeded. I mean, there are some things I got frustrated by, which, you know, the 1% set aside that we tried to get through, some other initiatives to try to bring more money into the game. But I feel like we have brought support to the arts community as a whole. And, you know, at least we've sort of put a bandage on what had become a string of failures by different arts organizations. The ballet, the Rep, American Musical Theater, which was a for-profit, but, you know, the original incarnation of the symphony. And, you know, so I leave after almost 7 years feeling like we accomplished some things in, you know, in terms of that, in terms of awareness of diversity and inclusion. And I just hope the next group of people will continue that, and will be, you know, continue to try to push things like that 1% set aside.
Thank you, and thank you for your service. And there's, for you and for Richard, by the way, there is always a spot on our core team open. We can always use more support. We are very much a working group here at SJAA.
Does it come with drinks?
We like to have fun. So
all right.
I think the last time, pretty much every event when we have it at the School of Visual Philosophy, and Ava and Dana could let you know, like Yori pretty much like hoists beer upon us. He's just like, you know, you need to have some of this beer. It's delicious. And we have too much. So yeah, please come to SJA events, but drink responsibly. And please, if you can, take public transportation. Let's go back around to Samita. If there's something, if we have an artist out there, right, who not at all familiar very much with you know, city government, or with ways that they can get engaged even beyond, you know, making their art, what is one piece of advice you give them as far as, you know, either through the Arts Commission or through other ways, in terms of, you know, what's the first step they should take if they wanted to learn more about, you know, this intersection between civic life and their artistic life?
For sure, it's an opportunity to serve, and bring your perspective on the table. You have this opportunity to present your perspective on the table when you're on the commission. So there's two things. One, if they are wanting to know more about how OCA supports art, or you know, what opportunities there are for grants and things like that, then OCA has its grants programs. But if they want to join the commission, they can actually reach out to any of the commissioners, and we'll be more than happy to talk to them and tell them about, how it works. And we are just regular people, actually. And we've just decided that we want to be a little more involved in the public discourse, and we want to effect change. So, as a team, when we get together, we can actually, and we have done things to nudge our city government to take decisions that are pro-art. So, last year we sent letters out. I wrote to the city government. I had tremendous support from our commissioners. We got a little more funding than what we were expecting, or what was initially proposed, because of our voice. So the thing about arts is that if money is taken away from arts at city level, it's very, very difficult to reverse that action, to go back to a higher number, and so we have to constantly advocate for more support. And so if anybody wants to join the Arts Commission, they have to know that they're there to support and advocate for the arts, and they should be ready to step up to the plate. Like, I'm constantly told by my fellow commissioners and Carrie that I stepped up, at a time when it was really, really tough for the arts, which is like last 2 years during COVID. But honestly, I could not have done it without my fellow commissioners. But the thing is that I did have to step up and say, hey, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to be chair during this time. So if you are ready to take on a leadership role, the commission will support you. Our commissioners will support you. But you have to be ready to step up and use your voice to effect change. I think that is basically the first requirement, because we do vote on things. We do have to, approach the city council. We have to talk to our council members. We have to talk about art. We have to make liaison, we have to be liaison with arts organizations. So I think that part has been really, really incredible. Just creating relationships with various arts organizations and learning about them, learning about the issues they face, especially organizations that are smaller in size, but then also big organizations. I think during the last 2 years, all organizations have suffered due to the pandemic. So just learning about what are the issues and how we can really help them. There's a, it's a really beautiful thing to do. to create those connections and begin to see how they are surviving. And because when you figure out how they are trying to actually run successfully and serve people, because arts are what have allowed our community to survive during the pandemic. Like, everybody went online and everybody was watching, the arts online. I think we would have had a higher number of mental health issues if the arts hadn't been there. And so all the more reason to support the arts. And so the more the merrier. We have, I think, 10 or 11 positions or seats on the commission, and we haven't had them completely filled, last few years. So it would be great to have all of those seats filled.
Absolutely. Ron, you had your hand up, but I was actually
I
going
just want to also raise up what Smita is saying, because I'm really happy that Audrey and Juan Carlos are on the commission, because it took a lot of conversations with them I actually was nudging Juan Carlos to consider it, but he was at odds because he's going, well, I'm also an artist and I get money from the city. And I shared with him, well, there's opportunities where you can do that and recuse and still serve as an arts commissioner. Same with Audrey. I actually educated Audrey about the importance of having representation on the commission, especially since she was working with young people through the Shakespeare Company. So I think one of the charges also for commissioners is to go out there and talk with, the arts and cultural community and let them know and provide some education, about what it means to have a seat at the Arts Commission. I remember Peter and we had that amazing gathering over at Olympia back many years ago, where we had over 50 people up there. And Peter, myself, and Tina Morrow, former Arts Commissioner Tina Morrow, shared with those folks in person what it means to be an Arts Commissioner. And all those people did not know anything about the Arts Commission. So I think as soon as we kind of get out of the pandemic, we can start to really in person engage again with our community, because I think the virtual part is what disconnects us. And of course, with arts, culture, creativity, you need to have that physical touch, that connection. So I just want to, raise what Smith is talking about in terms of the commission being there to help support potential candidates who wish to serve on the commission and know that it's going to be about service.
And as you mentioned earlier, Ron, yourself, I mean, a lot of us are artists in our own right? I think we are really trying to, the city is really trying to promote this idea of the creativity in all of us. So I think the more the merrier, in terms of, like Smita said, in terms of that artistic perspective, right? Being able to bring that to the commission, being able to think creatively, right? Government could really use a little bit more of that. And I'm going to go to Brendan next, who I want to shout out an idea he's hyped a lot, which is artists in residency, right? Or artist embeds in city government, right? Getting artists in residence in like the planning department, in Parks and Rec, so that you can bring that creative perspective and integration into their work. So, but Brendan, you have your hand up. I wanted to see if you wanted to.
Yes, sure. Thanks, Peter. So, well, thanks all the commissioners for joining in the conversation. Much appreciated taking the time and joining for this. I was just going to ask your thoughts on if somebody was considering putting their name in the hat, becoming a commissioner, thoughts on how a person best effectively gets up to speed. Now in hindsight, any things you thought of, like what could they do in their first year that really makes them then an impactful commissioner?
Well, I guess I'll chime in. This is
Yeah. I was going to say, Richard or Charlie, you haven't spoken.
Yeah.
Want to say something?
Yeah,
It's the old white-haired guys. Yeah, Richard.
And you even remember when you joined? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Actually, no.
I got a little white hair
can't.
right here. I got a little white hair.
I cannot. So much of this is all about learning. And so I really honestly think the first 2 years you are on the commission, it is all about learning, because there is so much to learn about. We're from the outside, it doesn't look like it's complex, but it is complex. The facilities the city runs, the programs the city participates in, the amount of grants that go out, the amount of organizations and individuals applying for grants. It is an incredibly complex system, and it just, it seems scattered from the outside, but it really isn't that scattered. And so I think, as a commissioner coming in, you just need to listen. You need to sit on grant panels. There's no better way. And your first year, you may not be, you may just have to sit in on the grant panel, but there's no better way to learn about the arts in San Jose than sitting in on those panels. I'll go back to learning, because you're there for service, and to supply that service, you're going to have to understand what you've gotten yourself into. And if you're a commissioner coming in, I highly suggest talking to city staff, but talking to your district's council member. They're the one that's going to push the door open for you, and that's very important to do.
Charlie, any thoughts there?
Well, I was just to reinforce what Richard said. When the best thing that I did when I first got on the commission was to audit the grant panels. because you really learn a lot about all the city funds and does. And you also learn where some bodies are buried, but that's a different issue.
And some public art projects.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm amazed we've gotten this far into the conversation and no one's brought up the Fanelon statue.
No, I think we're good on that for now.
Yeah, we're okay.
We did a whole other
Charlie,
Zoom about that one.
Charlie, can we?
The Fanelon
Did
statue
we get a look?
and the downtown fireworks. Those were always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I sort of, knew how budget processes worked in city government, but San Jose is different from other places. It's not as corrupt, for one thing, which was a sort of welcome relief after covering politics in Boston. Yeah, I mean, really that was the first thing is pay attention and, pay real attention to the budget process.
Mhm.
And then also audit those the grants panels. And also, not everyone can be on the public arts subcommittee. But that was sort of the fun stuff, so it's great to sort of, keep track of what the city is doing, even if you're not on that subcommittee,
Right.
because it'll make you feel good.
I'll second that for sure. And I'll also second sitting on the grant review panels. I don't think I learned more in my entire 4 years on the commission than the time I spent. I mean, that was even as serving a year as chair, than I learned just serving on one of those operating grant review panels. You learn about the entire ecosystem.
It takes a while to understand what, that budget basically comes down to, like, line by line items.
Right.
So there's no way around sitting on grant panels and kind of, like Richard was saying, you gotta learn. And, that budget is one of the main things that the commission does, is approving of, moving that budget forward. And so if you are not understanding every item on the budget, then, it's not going to work for you. So, and it takes a while to understand that budget. So it's not a very simple budget.
And if I could, support
Please,
what Smita is
that's a good
saying, and as well as Richard and Charlie, I mean, as I had mentioned, I had spent my first year, 2 years just observing, but I think the most important thing also is to read. The Arts Commission gets a lot of memos. They get a lot of, just materials to read, and you have to educate yourself. I'm a policy wonk, so I love reading those memos, and probably why I'm going to do really well in my position as Director of Arts Industry Support. Now that, I served on panels, and now I'm putting the panels together. And I think that's something that everyone, if you're listening, that's one of your charges as an arts commissioner, is to serve on at least one grant panel of the Office of Cultural Affairs, be it operating grants, take part grants, or the Festival Parade Celebration grants. But there are also other grants that we're going to reactivate soon that have been dormant, such as the Capacity and Sustainability Grant, the Arts Cultural Exchange Grant with other countries, sister cities. I had the pleasure of being one of the arts commissioners to represent on the San Jose Creates and Connects Advisory Committee, which is also has to have a commissioner, which I'm going to reactivate as a now OCA staff. So there's so many opportunities for arts commissioners to be engaged, not just during the commission meeting, but in other ways. And I like how, Smita had, and probably it was also Charlie said, talk with your council member. We each, all the commissioners represent a district except for citywide. I think it's really important to develop that relationship with your council member. I did, I was representing D7 because that's where I lived for the longest time. So, I made sure that Madison knew what was going on with regards to arts. Later on, Maya, because they're going to look to you as an arts commissioner and say, hey, I've got this idea that maybe you might want to go back and forth about if it's related to arts and culture. So that relationship between commissioners and the council member is key, especially for the Arts Commission, if we want to push something forward and have a champion on the council.
Peter,
Yeah, and I also want to add, if I may, that you don't have to be living in a certain district in order to represent it on the commission. And that's one of the ways in which the Arts Commission operates a little differently from other commissions. So you could be living in District 5, but you could be representing District 7. So that opens the field up for a lot more people to apply for the various positions on the commission.
Right.
But
although,
just in
although
terms
if I could just put one thing in on that,
Please, Charlie.
I don't represent the district I live in. I live in District 3. I represent District 2.
There you go. There you
I don't think I should be representing District 2.
go.
Be somebody from District 2. Because no matter how hard you try, you're not living in that district. You don't really know what the district wants in terms of art programs and murals and so forth. And I had a long conversation with Councilman Jimenez when he reappointed me, and I said, when I'm off, and find somebody in District 2, find some young person in District 2 who wants to get involved in city government and the arts, and use this to develop the leadership in the district. I just think that's, I'm not sure it's a regret, because I love being on the commission, but it's the one thing I think probably you really ought to come from the district you're representing.
And if I can chime in with what Charlie, I believe that, and just to clarify, Smita, I believe it's preferred that you come from the district that you're going to represent. That's why I represented 7 for a very long time until I moved to D2. And I think, again, it's because the council member wants to ensure that somebody has a vested interest in their council. It's just like assembly members and state senators, right? You have to represent your area. But that doesn't mean that you can't also serve the entire city. But I think it's really important to have someone from that council district represent the interest, of arts and culture on the commission. It's just, I think,
Yeah, and
important.
I think OCA and decision makers, they always try to get somebody from that specific district. The hope is always to find somebody who lives in that district. But then, if you're looking at vacant seats, then we'd rather have some sort of assurance that we have enough commissioners voting on, because you need a certain number to actually discuss the issues at hand and then for voting. So sometimes you just have to kind of strike a balance there.
We're getting up a little after 6:30, and I do want to respect everyone's time. And I know, Richard, you're on your way out of town, so I want to I'll let you go. But real quick, there is a vacancy right now. What do you know? What district that is? Is there still a vacancy right now? In which district?
I believe it's 10, right? 10 is still vacant.
That's still vacant. Okay,
Yes.
so and that's right. It's been redistricted, but it's basically Almaden, Blossom Valley, the southern part of the city. So if you live down that area, please consider applying. I'm sure Councilmember Mahan from District 10 would love to appoint someone from his district. And I would agree there. Yeah, the geographic representation is incredibly important. And a lot of times it's up to the council offices to really get the word out in their own districts and bring up and lift up a pipeline of leadership in our commissions. And I certainly try to encourage my council member and council members I know to do that and do more of the outreach themselves, because a lot of times the city clerk or the staff at OCA, they don't have the time to be doing that kind of outreach, and they don't know a lot of the times the folks like y'all and the folks who are watching this at home, who are really the engaged leaders in the community. So I think if you're interested, contact, look up your council member and contact your council office and see if they have, and if their seat is open, or if they'll just keep you on their radar for when the application process does open up.
I think some council members are more interested in that than others.
Very good point.
A number of them just simply follow maybe suggestions from OCA.
Sure. So, but to the point that Smita made, there are vacancies all the time. There were when I was on the commission. So if you're interested in serving, get an application in. There is a deadline of this Sunday, April 3rd, for the next round, next wave, but I guarantee you they will take your application if you want to submit it later. But that's why we wanted to have this quick and dirty happy hour to let folks know about the opportunity and to hear from our current and former commissioners. So I do think we should probably bring our conversation to a close. I have a couple more quick tidbits, but I do want to thank Chair Garg. Thank you so much, Dr. Garg, for being here tonight. Terming out Commissioners James and McCollum, thank you so much for your service, for your and the legacy you're leaving, especially Richard, the cornerstone of the Arts Award. I hope that you know how great of a legacy that is that you're leaving. I was really excited to be on the commission when you brought it to the table, and it's just, I think it's just a great opportunity for us to celebrate the arts every year. So thank you so much for that. And of course, Cleo Ramoriera, our man of many hats. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and for your leadership in helping to start SJ Arts Advocates as well. So really quickly, I'm going to share my screen again just to give everyone a couple quick tidbits of next steps. There we go, next steps. So we talked about the deadline to apply. You can go to the city website, sanjoseca.gov, or go to sanjoseculture.org more accurately to find the OCA website. And you'll find more information about the Arts Commission, how you can apply. And if you ever have any questions, you can hit us up. Obviously, I'll have our contact info in a second. Save the dates. We have a really cool opportunity coming up. We've just confirmed, or we're still confirming candidates, but I wanted to get the dates out there. Monday, May 2nd and Wednesday, May 11th. We're going to be hosting speed dating with the candidates. So it's not a debate. It's not a forum. We're going to have candidates come and introduce themselves briefly, but then sort of go to their respective corners. They'll have little tables with whatever they want to put out, snacks, candy, flyers, whatever. And they'll be able to have personal conversations with us, with the arts community. You can rotate around and talk to them and have little roundtable conversations with each of the candidates. We thought that would be kind of a fun way to get to know them a little better.
Will there be a timer, Peter?
Yeah, right. We might do like a, blow a whistle and rotate. But we're still figuring out the logistics, but it's going to be a real fun, informal way to meet the candidates. And again, we do not make endorsements. So we have everyone confirmed for the mayoral speed dating, except for, unfortunately, Councilmember Mahan cannot join us that night. We have met him before in a Zoom environment, so we can make sure folks watch that session at some point. But all the other candidates have confirmed, so I'm really excited to have them there for that. We're going to hopefully do it at the School of Visual Philosophy in person, but we'll obviously let you know. And then Wednesday, May 11th, it just worked better this way for the mayoral candidates. We're going to do all the city council candidates that we can get to come. And we so far have confirmations from candidates in every contested race so far. Not all the candidates, but at least one person from each race. We even have a former arts commissioner running, as Smita mentioned. Ramona Snyder is running in one of our districts, so you get to. She's definitely going to be there, so you get to meet her. And then. So please put these dates on your calendar. And then if you want to connect with SJ Arts Advocates, get to know us a little better. If you're not on our mailing list, you can join it. Just go to sjartsadvocates.org. You can email us with any questions or questions for the commissioners. If you want to drop us a line and learn a little more about being on the Arts Commission, hello@sjartsadvocates.org. You can also go to the city website. Each of the commissioners, the current commissioners, has their own city email that you can contact them directly through, or if you want to advocate on any arts issue, I'm sure they would love to hear it. And then follow us on social media at San Jose Arts. That's pretty much Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for now. And we're working on TikTok. I'm going to have Ron sign us up for TikTok, I think. There we go. All right. Well, with that, I want to thank everyone else for coming tonight. I actually see Ricardo Cortez, one of our other illustrious San Jose Arts ambassadors here. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. I want to thank Edgar Ochoa. I see Mighty Mike McGee. I see Eva Smith Glenn from our core team for being here. Brendan Rawson and Amanda Rawson were here earlier. And Chris, my friend, I don't know if you want to come off mute and introduce yourself and just say what brought you here tonight. Or not, it's okay. Totally cool. Just here to learn. Sounds good to me. All right. Well, hey, with that, it's about 6:45, so we're a little over, but I really enjoyed the conversation with y'all, and I hope you all have a great night. And you can.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you,
Enjoy your first
SJA.
Fridays.
Good to see you, Edgar.
Richard
see
and
you, Ricardo.
Shirley, I am gonna miss you guys so much. I don't want to think about that time.
Oh.
We're gonna
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Audience meeting.